So the questions are these. How can we really activate the best of the private sector to meet the challenges of the real world? Is there a way to accelerate my career that doesn't involve boring online or classroom courses? And can I really impact people in the developing world with the skills that I have? Can I finally feel proud of what I know? Those are the questions, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Philippa White, and this is TIE Unearthed. Keep listening, and you can follow us on our journey as we show you how we're connecting the private sector with the social sector to make change. Welcome to episode 3 of TIE's podcast. Today I am interviewing the advertising legend, Jon Steel. I am just so honored to be speaking with you right now, Jon, and thrilled that you agreed to speak with me. So thank you very much.
Pleasure to be here, Philippa. Lovely to talk.
Good. So I wanted to ask you why you worked with TIE for 10 years and paid good money to lose a valued employee for several weeks, and why the risk paid off for you. But before I get into that, I just wanted to first tell our listeners a little bit more about you, for those of you that don't know. So Jon is a writer and strategist who has solved problems for some of the biggest commercial brands on this planet, such as Nike, Coca-Cola, Porsche, Unilever, and Vodafone, to Major League Baseball, to the National Basketball Association, and even Fulham Football Club. Do you guys remember the Got Milk campaign? Because I do. I can still see the billboards when I was growing up. Well, yeah, Jon was the strategic architect behind that. And between 2012 and 2014, he worked with the former US Vice President Al Gore and the United Nations Secretary Ban Ki-Moon on a global climate change campaign in advance of the 2014 UN Climate Change Summit. So you also may be familiar with his 2 best-selling books, Truth, Lies, and Advertising, and Perfect Pitch. And if you aren't, I highly recommend getting them, because I often find myself using examples from them in conversations. They're fantastic, and I'll put a link in our in the episode information so you guys can check them out. I was introduced to Jon via the incredible Jeremy Bullmore, who was an advisor to Sir Martin Sorrell at the time. Sir Martin Sorrell was the CEO of WPP. And when I met Jon, he was the group planning director for WPP Group and was also the WPP Marketing Fellowship Director. So I feel like that explains, Jon Steel, what you did and what you're all about. So I thought I'd just hand over to you. I just want to say thank you so much. To this day, I'm so grateful to you for your belief in TIE and for getting involved with our program and for offering these experiences to your star employees. So it's just great to have you here with us today.
Oh, thank you very much.
So tell me, I'd love to know, why did you sign up for TIE?
Well, interesting, Philippa. You talked in your introduction about a company losing a valued for a period of time. I never really saw it that way. I saw it as a process of gaining a more valuable employee. And that's why I signed up for TIE. Initially, there were 2 reasons why I was attracted to it. The first time we met, and you talked about TIE, it resonated very strongly with my own personal experience. And back in the 1990s, when I worked at Goodby Silverstein and Partners, I had a period of my employment with them where I was a little burnt out, and also questioning whether I wanted to spend my life in working with commercial clients, some of whom were not a lot of fun to work with. And I quit my job. But the agency said, don't quit. We'll keep your resignation letter, but you go away for 3 or 4 weeks and just recharge your batteries and think about things. And I did. I went to Africa, and I went to Rwanda and Tanzania and Burundi and saw mountain gorillas and Jane Goodall's chimps. And at one point I was driving across the Serengeti in a truck, and for a sort of 8-hour journey. And I figured that perhaps I could do more for the kind of organizations that interested me if I stayed in the agency world instead of leaving it. And I would be able to develop my professional skills further and then apply them to stuff that I cared about beyond the commercial world, while also still having access to the resources and professional expertise of a lot of other people around me in the agencies. Yeah. So when you talked about Thai and what that represented, it felt very familiar to me, and I'd experienced something of a conversion to the philosophy of Thai myself. Now, the other reason was an entirely professional one, that at the time we met, I was running WPP's fellowship program. Yeah. Now, this was a leadership program that Sir Martin had started back in 1995, and it was designed to create future leaders for WPP and its operating companies. And it was based on the principle that to be an effective leader in the future of this industry, people had to be multidisciplinary. It was no longer any good to just be a PR person or just an advertising person or just a branding person. You had to be able to speak the language and understand the methodologies of all. But you also had to be culturally flexible. Increasingly, WPP's business was international, and we needed people to be able to move seamlessly between different business cultures. So the program worked by fellows spending 3 years, each of those years in a different company, representing a different discipline, and usually a different geography. And at the end of the 3 years, they'd got a huge amount of experience, but they often didn't know how much they'd learned. Yeah. And for me, Thai represented an intensive, immersive experience for them in exactly how much they had learned. It's almost like a finishing school for fellows.
Yeah, wow.
So what you were offering fitted perfectly with my needs to tie up the fellowship experience. Yeah. And have people understand just how much they'd gotten out of their 3 years and how much they'd got to offer going forward.
Wow, it's so nice to hear that. I mean, we worked with the WPP Fellowship Program over 10 years. Can you believe it, Jon? So 10 years, and we sent a total of 23 former fellows through the immersive Thai program that we were running at the time. Obviously, now it's a bit tricky due to the current situation of coronavirus with borders being shut. But the program, obviously, that we worked together with was where future, the fellows, the future leaders or the fellows would be physically leaving their work. And obviously for 30 days, they would immerse themselves completely in another country and culture. And over the years, actually, we placed them with, I'm just looking at my list here. So we sent people to places. So we worked with children's literacy in Africa, street children in Brazil, saving the lives of elephants in Kenya, which I know we'll talk about in a bit, because I know that is a very close to your heart organization, girl empowerment in Rwanda, education in Ethiopia, and conservation of the Brazilian rainforest. So loads of places and causes that people supported, and communication campaigns and business strategies were created that were obviously hugely impactful for the host organizations and their communities. But I'd love to understand from you, what were the benefits in your mind of getting involved with Thais? Why is what we do important in your view? What did you get out of that?
Well, it's important because it's the right thing to do. People in our business should be applying their skills to problems that go beyond the commercial. The philosophy of applying our communication skills for the benefit of humanity, for the benefit of our world. It makes us better people. It puts the work we do for our commercial clients in context, but it also makes us better professionals because it adds variety to what we do. It allows us to understand that the skills we apply on behalf of a commercial client in one category are transferable to commercial clients in other categories and transferable beyond commercial clients altogether. So I think that there are 4 benefits to it. One is the one that you've already mentioned, where there is a clear benefit to the organization, the children's literacy group, the Amazon Rainforest Group, all of the groups who had fellows and other Thai people working with them have got a lot out of it. There's an enormous benefit to the individual because in almost every case, they learn things about themselves that they didn't know existed before they went out of their comfort zone into a country that they've never been to before, working in a language that they've never spoken before, on problems that they would have assumed in the past were too big for them to handle, and they cope. And in all of those 23 fellowship experiences over the 10 years that we spoke about, there was never a disaster. Yeah. Nobody ended up in jail. Nobody ended up in hospital. Nobody ever called up halfway through and said, "I can't do this. I've got to come home." They all saw it through and they all completed the project. So there's a benefit to the organisation, benefit to the individual. There's an enormous benefit to the sponsoring company in that the professional they get back is different and better than the one who left. And there's a benefit to the industry. Ours isn't an industry that enjoys a great reputation for its social conscience. And it's nice to have opportunities within the industry to explore social issues without having to leave the industry. You don't have to make a choice between commerce and charity.
Yeah, exactly.
The two, they can walk hand in hand, and there's a symbiotic relationship between the two.
Yeah, I love that you just said that, because I couldn't agree more. When I'm talking about Thai, and I think about how I felt actually when I set up Thai, and I remember thinking, it feels like when you come out of university, you have two choices. Either you do good and work in sort of the helping people industries, or you do well and work in the private sector. And it sort of feels still a little bit like it's an either or. And I sort of feel like, well, no, why does it have to be either or? It doesn't. Why can you not work in the private sector using the skills that you have, and you can actually make a difference? And yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I had a lot of conversations with fellows early in their careers who wanted to work solely in the doing good area, and that if they did want to work solely in that, a company like WPP wasn't the right place for them. But I always counselled them that if they could spend a few years learning the right professional skills, they could be much more useful in the NGO area later on. And the more experience you get, the more senior you become, the more time you're allowed to allocate to those sort of things anyway. In my last few years at WPP, I still worked with very big commercial clients, but I spent an equal amount of time working with clients in the NGO world, but you applying the skills of my fellows to their work and my own skills in a way that broadened all of our experience. And was beneficial for them. Why don't you
just, I was going to ask afterwards, but why don't you bring to light, do you want to just talk about your, what you worked, a couple of the causes that are very important to you and that you hold very, very close to your heart?
Well, you've already mentioned the work that a group of us did with Al Gore and the UN, and that was over a couple of years and very impactful. Yeah. I had a lot of fellows, former fellows involved in that. And generally, whenever I was handed a project, and it was very often Sir Martin would send me an email on a weekend and just say, I was talking to person X yesterday and they've got this problem. And I said, you'd sort it out for them, which was a little intimidating when you see an email chain and it's Martin, Al Gore. And don't worry, it's only a small problem. We just want you to save the world from the impact of climate change. But I would always gather the people who I worked best with and who had the right sort of experiences as part of their fellowship experience. And and also those teams would be people who all knew each other really well, who liked working with each other, and you're halfway there once you've got that right team assembled. So we did that with Al Gore. We worked with David Miliband's International Rescue Committee, with the Eden Project. I did stuff independently with the Gorilla Foundation and the Jane Goodall Institute and the Diane Fossey Fund. But the two areas where where my personal passions and Thai intersected were two that you mentioned earlier, the School of St. Yared in Ethiopia, where Claire Carmichael went out to do a placement. But we got a lot of fellows involved, and there's a group of fellows still sponsor a scholar at the School of St. Yared, which is a very interesting educational experiment to try to bring the highest quality education to the most deprived kids in Addis Ababa. It's fantastic. We sponsor a couple of kids ourselves. And then the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, where Callum Cheadle went out on a placement. But we developed a relationship, actually initially through you. You made the initial introduction between the Sheldricks and myself. And I've subsequently worked a lot with them. I guess I've worked with them for 3 or 4 years now and still do. And I went out to Kenya a couple of years ago to present a new logo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the Sheldricks have a new logo. They're now the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, not the David Sheldrick Wildlife Trust, which was our recommendation. But I got to visit all of their field operations. And for people who don't know, the Sheldricks rescue orphaned elephants in Kenya and look after them for several years until they can, and rehabilitate them and until they can be reintroduced to the wild. So they spend time in a nursery in Nairobi, but then go out to reintegration centres where slowly in the Tsavo National Park area, they go out into the wild, meet wild elephants, and eventually become part of those wild herds. But it's a fantastic organisation. It's been a joy to work with, and I'm very grateful to you for making the introduction.
Yeah, well, and you also you've adopted an elephant.
Oh, I've got a couple of elephants. Yes, I've got Umbago and Ambo, young elephants who are both now in the reintegration centres and starting their journey back into the wild.
That's fantastic, John. That's so good. So I mean, I'm going to wrap this up, but I do want to just know: are there any stories that have stood out in your mind from the 10 years that we worked together?
It's really hard to think of individual stories because my overwhelming impression is of it having a life-changing effect for so many of the people who went. Their perspective has been widened, their sense of confidence has been increased. And as I always said, it was like a finishing school for fellows, but it just created this belief in them that anything was possible. And I know you have chief executives when you speak to them about this who are skeptical. Why would I give you somebody for 30 days? And to me, it's a no-brainer. And if they won't do it because it's the right thing to do, if they won't do it because it would help build a career, they should do it because as a chief executive, it's in their interest and their company's interest to do so. So, they can be selfish and they can be self-serving. And even if they don't care about the other benefits, they end up with a better employee as a result of it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have to say, having set this up, how many years ago? Sort of 13, I guess. We've been going 13 years, 14 years. To be sitting here and talking to you and having had the chance to work with you for 10 years, it's a huge honor. I'm very grateful to you and Sir Martin and Jeremy for just supporting us for all that time and just giving me all of the incredible opportunities of working with your incredible fellows and going to the Ogilvy Chateau and the fellowship anniversary at the Tower of London. I mean, just so many incredible opportunities that we got to share together. So amazing memories, John. Amazing memories.
Well, and we're very grateful to you. You became a part of the fellowship family. And if you look at the career trajectories of all of those fellows who went on Thai, the curve got steeper as a result of what they did. So as an organisation, I know that WPP was very grateful for that. And I'm certain that as individuals, they feel exactly the same way.
Oh, well, thank you. Listen, you're now starting your day and I'm ending mine. So you've got your Monday to look forward to. So I hope you've got a good day ahead. And to our listeners, I will put in your book references. So if people want to check them out, because I highly recommend them. And thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Philippa. Take care.
Bye. Hey everyone, this is Philippa again. So this is your chance to get involved with TIE. We have 3 absolutely amazing virtual opportunities available, all rooted in connecting the private sector with the social sector to make change. TIE has never been more necessary than right now. So if you're looking for life-changing leadership development opportunities for your employees and you want your company to impact the world, we've got you covered. If you're looking to step out of your comfort zone and use your skills to make a difference and keen to meet other like-minded professionals with similar values, then our TIE Accelerator program is for you. There are so many options, so I urge you to get in touch. Go to theinternationalexchange.co.uk for more information or just shoot us an email. Better companies, better leaders, better world.